move. I'm sorry, Prince. I'll just need some rest. Prince, why are you looking at me like that? Don't you know it's finally over? Let's go home, okay? The princess is waiting for you, just like before. You, the princess, everybody.
Come on, Leon. What? Is she Sephiroth? Oh, he tripped. He's got Colette syndrome. Now what? Ah! Gazelle? What do you want? Freaking Marskull? Guess just showing all of those that fell. Alania! Nice electric guitar. Ooh.
What happened? I'm fine. Just fine.
That is also the power of the sun. The sun rune can be a fearful light of destruction, but it can also be a source of mercy that fosters life. Both the dawn rune and the twilight rune determine how the power of the sun rune manifests itself. You united the hearts of those guided by the stars and gave proper form to the destiny of the three runes. Now the sun rune will surely become a light that will bless the future of this land.
Alright. That's good. Looks like Leon got revived. It's good stuff. It appears that the Senate has accepted its dissolution. That's definitely good. Frickin' evil Senate. Corrupt Senate. Great news! Replacing the Senate with a parliament with representatives from each town. Sounds like hard work. I bet those dwarves are going to be stubborn. Probably. I don't care. They're Philanans, so they need to be a part of it. Absolutely. After what Lord Godwin tried to do, the dwarves and beavers will always have a voice. And we can't forget the princess's official coronation ceremony. A true coronation. I'm ready anytime. It doesn't have to be a big whoop, you know. No, that just won't do, little Lim. Such things must be done properly, lest we be mocked by other nations. An official peace envoy will be arriving from Armus in the next few days. Shula. The Sun Palace must be spotless upon their arrival, and there's no time to waste, is there? I guess not. I can't decide which one of them gets on my nerves more. Where is that brother of mine? Just when I really need him. Oh, he's probably hanging out. Watching Wheel of Fortune in his bedroom. You know how he does it. Ooh. There's a nice view.
Are you sure about this? Well then. Looks like I was actually able to keep my promise to Farad.
He took off his eye patch.
George, your eye.
Yes. My eye. Well, I was injured in battle long ago, as I said. But I didn't lose my eyesight. I can see just fine. The eye patch was just to remind myself to never get overconfident.
What? Are you serious? Why didn't you ever tell us?
Don't be mad.
Oh.
Oh, by the way, I've decided to leave Felena.
What? But why all of a sudden?
No matter what the circumstances, the fact remains that I killed the Queen. I can't remain in this country after having committed such an act.
George.
So, what plans do you two have?
So I think you can make a choice here, and you'll get a different ending. None in particular.
Nothing's going to change for me. I'll go wherever the prince goes. To protect him.
Well, if you're not sure, why don't you come with me?
Huh?
All is as it should be.
Yes, I'm sure nothing like that will ever happen again.
Indeed.
Huh. Well, that's not really too surprising. Gene. Axe. So I think this is considered like the best ending since we got all 108 stars. I think it's a different if you don't get all 108 stars. Although, why would you want to do that? That wouldn't make sense. The Do-Re-Mi elves are there too. Wow. That's crazy. That's a lot of ships. There's the Dahak. What a glorious fleet. Almost like we're playing Suikoden V again. Huh. Is that Carbuncle? At least it's not Zodom flopping onto our ship. Bidding his homeland farewell, he sets out to explore the world's many lands. Just after plans for naval reform materialize, she retires. The rest of her days breeze slowly by in raft fleet. Though considering an obvious choice for the new land's prime minister, she instead slips away in the night. Just after the Sun Rune returned to the Sun Palace, Zaras vanishes and is never seen again. Ashamed of the crisis his inflexibility caused, he resigns, asking Rahal to take over and reform the cavalry. Despite broad support, he retires from his post, then returns home to rebuild Lord Lake and teach the young. Focusing on improving the Queen's Royal Navy, expanding the port of Esteros, and developing maritime trade, departs for Nagaria on a continuing hunt for Nethergate survivors, leaves Sagiri with a promise, "I'll get you last." Accompanies the Queen's brother on his journey, and stays by his side long after the journey ends. Becomes the first chairperson of the new parliament, uses the Rotary style of diplomacy to introduce a new system, leaves Felena unnoticed, nobody would ever look again upon the ruins of her shrine. The Southern Seraph gains great fame, and rumor has it the hands of Lord Ralbel's daughter Celicia. Retires from the Queen's Knights, but instead of returning home to Lelkar, lives a life of peace and quiet abroad. Weary of the civilized world, he leaves for the wild, where he becomes an exterminator of extremely large pests, stays on after the war as assistant to Lady Haswar, returns to Alsaid only once more in his life. As the Oracle of Lunas supports the new queen both publicly and privately, one day she announces a surprise wedding. Teaches swordsmanship at the recruit training school, formerly the Arena, and helps out at the inn on days off. With Levy alongside, she returns to her home of Zalant to free Ernst from his curse. Alright. At least you get a little bit more time to actually read that than in previous Suikodens. Grows into a magnificent three-horned dragon horse, he and Nick become the cavalry duo to watch. Thought to have returned to her home country, the northern states would not meddle with Felena for decades to come. Parts with the Queen's brother, returns to the northern continent, and becomes involved in several regional conflicts. Returns home with Norma and Levy, and turns towards the ruins where his curse began. As he hunts for Sindar treasures, Lorelei lures him back to Felena, where he lands in prison after a riot again. Per King Jalat's wishes, helps forge a pact of friendship with Felena, where he later resides as ambassador. Travels from country to country, training all the while on a mission to reunite his fellow gladiators. Returns to the island nations, her post as vice captain and her father's perpetual mind games. Nudged from all sides, he finally agrees to take a frickin' desk job as mayor of Lelkar. Is assigned to the Sun Palace with Rug, where he becomes quite popular among the people of Sol Felena. Represents Lelkar in the new parliament, where his mediating skills keep the peace and promote new partnership. Celebrates Rahal's promotion by taking leave to lay an egg. Lance is the father. Then returns to action. Oh. devotes himself to rebuilding Lelkar, but disappears mysteriously just before its successful completion. 10 Sornix castles dragon horses. He treats them with care and earns their respect. Admitted to the cavalry soon after the war, together with Axe, he gives Rug and Lance a run for their money. Famous after his loyalist army stint, he finds work wherever he goes, but never finds quite enough girls. Keeps Wilhelm working part-time by prodding him full-time. Armed with Galleon's training, he takes an apprenticeship at the Sun Palace, hoping to become a Queen's Knight. Oh, that's nice. I could see that. What if he still wears his hat as a Queen's Knight? Abandoned by Lucretia, he shakes off his sadness and takes the post of military police chief. Swears off thievery until Alberto's return. In the meantime, he volunteers to help Fuyo's agency with stakeouts. Builds a trade route to Armus under Boz's trade expansion policy, and watches his business take off. Returns to Solfalena and carries on with the rune business, but eventually stops showing up for work. Works tirelessly on Lord Lake's reconstruction, cries with joy at the return of his wife, whom he remarries. With the help of King Jalat and Shula, she travels to Armus to fight against corruption and injustice. Remains by Isabel's side until the end of his days. After succeeding Craig as commander, he works to reform the cavalry. Among other moves, he opens the ranks to women. Nice. Becomes commander of the newly formed Sun Palace Dragon Brigade, which defends Falena along with the Queen's Knights. Succeeds Wabon as the dwarves' delegate to the new parliament. His speeches are few, but intense. Returns to appraising art in Hod Village, now seemingly at peace with his eccentric citizenry. Helps herself to Zweig's research materials, which point her up north, towards the Scarlet Moon Empire. Imagine that. Steps into Talgale's old role as mediator of Lord Lake politics. His youthful spark inspires everyone. Already old in beaver years, he passes away soon after the war ends. Maroon and his siblings take the elder's place. Though his fellow mercenaries suggest that he creates his own unit, he instead continues to fight alongside Mueller. Passes the role of dwarf delegate to Gund, and then rolls up his sleeves and hammers away on the railroad tracks. Donates Sabaro's estate to the restoration effort, then continues to help as a new administrator. Continues making dragon horse flutes, takes on one apprentice after another, but none of them quite measure up. Quite fitting, I would say. Teams up with his craftsmen to sell wholesale. Together, they supply superb Zalant-quality armor to the Queendom. Declines an offer to become Sun Palace Doctor and opens a practice in Lord Lake, where she looks after ordinary folk. Uses Nethergate's leftover specimens to concoct many new groundbreaking medicines. Ooh. Served as the island nations for a wife, failing to understand that the goal of courtship is tenure, not high turnover. Becomes a sword trainer in the hopes of facing off against Belkut again, much to Marina's dismay. Attempts to live the life of a wanderer until Maroon drags him back home. Repeat ad nauseum. To break Ernst's curse, he starts from the beginning, traveling with Ernst and Norma across the Western Sea. Even as the top investigator, he slacks off at every opportunity, still he always looks out for Sagiri. Albura leaves her behind, so she continues to work under Fuyo. Every so often, her smile slips a little. She works so hard at the Stormfist Inn that she might take it over someday. She becomes more direct with Belkut. Uses Saris Castle's gears as the groundwork for more advanced ideas. Becomes known as Dr. Gear. Makes the rounds among his former associates to collect on his bets. The Prince won. Pay up. Goes to Solfalena as Shula's bodyguard. Often checks in on Toma's training, teasing him all the while. Returns to the island nation, sneaks into the armory, destroys all the rune shells, and is gone without a trace. Yar's accomplished, she disappears with him and flees, with Skald hot on their trail. Becomes Beaver Lodge's delegate to the new parliament, at Maroon's urging, and works to restore Solfalena's South Dam. Heads for Nagaria in search of archaic tomes, but is refused entry. Of course, that's hardly enough to stop him. Loses interest in magic, determined instead to create wonders with his hands. Becomes apprentice to Wabone. Good times. Whew. Yeah. Serves Queen Limsley as guardian and confidant for life. The two of them remain as close as loving sisters. Assigned to Solfalena along with Shula, her wisdom and grace soon win the hearts of Falena's people. Realizing that men are only dependable when they feel like it, becomes the dwarf's leader, scaring men everywhere. At Babbage's request, makes a chilling, lonely trek up the Ashtwall Mountains to examine the ruins' contraptions. Becomes determined to recruit at least 50 members for the newly created Do-Re-Mi Elf Symphony Orchestra. Glancing up at the sun during the victory celebration, she lets out a sneeze and disappears, as per usual. searches for the location indicated by Killay's Crimson Pilgrims legend, but only finds a single towering tree. Hauled back home, she promptly runs away again, heads north in search of more sophisticated culture. Assists Babbage while Sorensen is off at the ruins, does a bang-up job with a few glaring exceptions. Succeeds the late Fuwala as leader, contributes to the harmonious coexistence of human, dwarf, and beaver. Pokes around Armus for a scoop, ends up exposing massive corruption among the hardline chieftains. Leaves the agency to Fuyo and departs, apparently for Nagaria, to settle things once and for all. Disappears with Lucretia but turns up years later. Able on and off the field, she is known as the Crown's Brilliance. Returns to the Waterfall Basin, often visits Saris Lake to tease Byakuren and annoy all the fishermen. Takes the job of hauling Maroon back home every time he runs away, a job she quickly learns to enjoy. Despite Dongo's new recognition as a smith, Wabone keeps browbeating him. He doesn't mind so much anymore. Cheerfully works to keep up the detective agency, home to Sagiri, Shigade, and occasionally Oboro. Busy assisting his wife, now Rathfleet's leader, he tries to visit Lune at Serenix's castle, but it never goes well. I'm sure it doesn't. Joins the cavalry to oblige Rahal's reforms. After rigorous training, she becomes the world's first female rider. Grows into a fine young beauty, falls in love with a chef known as Hayo, and then, determines the secret of his teacher's dish, but keeps it under lock and key. Then he meets the Chief Jinke. Stays down in Stormfist's underground passage, apparently just for the sake of being eccentric. Determined to help Lucerina, he becomes the best damn storage guard the Sun Palace has ever had. As guardian of Saris Lake, she continues to watch over Saris Castle, now at the bottom of the lake. Serves as both Rathfleet's leader and delegate, but still makes time for family whenever Lune is home. Still wreaks havoc at martial arts events, but only to save cash for an international eating spree. Having mastered the twin arts of the enormous debt and the quick getaway, she now studies how not to cheat. Follows his sister, who is following Roy to the northern continent, ends up in Roy's troupe, building stage sets. Goes to the northern continent in search of Roy, finds him in training, and practically smothers him with care. Becomes a fisherwoman in search of the big one. Disappears at sea one day, but everyone knows that she's safe. Moves back and forth between Alsaid and Lunas, not expecting to settle down anytime soon. Runs an inn in Yashuna village, hires help for everyone but the bath. Her storytelling and voice talents, put to use by a traveling puppet show troupe, entertain children everywhere. Takes on the maddening task of mapping the underground water vein while the dwarves tunnel all around it. Discovering a love for acting, he joins a theater group up north. After grueling training, a star is born. Finally retires, for real, in Rathfleet, where he drinks with Raja and lends a hand to Shinro every now and then. Good stuff. Man, I'm freaking hungry. Alright. So we get the credits. Good stuff. Of course, we're still going to have to show off the other ending if you choose to stay at home. Also, something interesting. If you were too mean to Lim at the beginning of the game, you won't be given a choice. And you'll be forced to go onto the journey with George, so that's kind of a thing. Although, I'm usually pretty nice to her, so you know. You know, that's how it goes. So this is a pretty cool credit sequence, I would say. So that's Suikoden 5 for you. Long-ass game. I mean, I think I've been doing it for like over 2 years, so... Of course, I kind of stopped here and there, and, you know, things happen, so, you know, but... We got it finished, and it's good stuff. And of course, an awesome ending theme. I mean, you gotta have an awesome ending theme in a Suikoden game. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Kind of like how it has all the characters kind of going across the screen and interesting little like model things. That's cool. But yeah, this is the final Suikoden game. Sadly, there's no English version of the PSP Suikoden game. Hopefully one day there will be. Hopefully there will at least be like a fan translation or something at some point, but so far, no. Although someone has kind of translated, not really an official translation, but they kind of like put English over the Japanese text in videos, but they've only done a few, so, you know. But at least that's something. But other than that, you know, that's it for Suikoden. Unless any other Suikoden fan games come out, then I may do them. There is a fan game called Suikoden Ace. I actually have it. I don't know if I'm gonna do it because I think it's just a demo and I don't think there's much to it. But I don't know. Maybe at some point I'll do that. It's an RPG Maker game, I do believe. But I don't think it's in development anymore. I don't know. Not really sure about that. But yeah, the Suikoden V. In my opinion, it's the overall best game in the series as far as, you know, like gameplay and all that kind of stuff is, the way it's set up and everything. Suikoden 1 will always be my favorite because it was the first one I ever played and there's just so much nostalgia. But overall, I would say Suikoden 5 is the best overall Suikoden. No doubt. It's definitely good stuff. So if there's never another Suikoden game, this is definitely a good way to end the series on, I would say. It's good stuff. I definitely love the game. But it's definitely good to finally finish it after working on it for over 2 years. So that's cool. So this game will be replaced by another game that I actually started recording quite a while back. So I have several parts of that to upload already, so that will be what takes this game's place. So hopefully you will enjoy it and such. It's a good game, not extremely well known, but it's a game that much like Suikoden 5, I can't stream it. It just doesn't cooperate, so it's a game that's very hard to run, so. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. It's a cool looking background, though. I like that. I think that'd make a good, like, screensaver, wouldn't it? I could see that. You know, maybe without the credits, just the background. The moving background and the characters, sure. Well, why not have the characters there, too? That'd be cool. Jean. There's Georgie boy. Yeah, I think George kind of, he just doesn't look right without his eye patch. I don't know. Just my opinion, but I don't know. Just the eye patch just suits him. That's what it does. Andrew Finch. Joe Romersa. Preston Martin. He's a good guy. Michiru Yamane. How about that? Ooh. Nice. I like this part of the song. Yeah, this game has such a great soundtrack. I mean, every Suikoden does, other than Suikoden 3. I mean, Suikoden 3's soundtrack is alright, but it's definitely the weakest soundtrack in the series, I would say. Since a lot of the music is more like ambiance in that game. But it's still good. Still definitely has some good songs to it. Some good battle themes and such. And there's the prince in his, you know, beggar attire. Which is similar to Tyr. Les Claypool III. Bound Global Solutions. Headworks. Little dinosaur. Polygon Magic. Gimmick Company. Cybertech Japan. That's good stuff. Tris. Uplink. Rujo. Sound and Art. Triface. Not Trigun. Triface. You know what I'm talking about. 80K. Hudson. Aw yeah, Adventure Island style. It is interesting that Hudson worked on this game. Kind of odd, but clearly they did a good job. And Konami. A company that has had better days, for sure. The end. I don't know if there's another little ending thing. I don't remember. I think you get to save your game afterwards, don't you? And then you can do a new game plus, yeah. And in the new game plus, that's when you can play as George at the end. So, that's something, right? I'm going to help Lim rebuild.
I see. I'm sure you two are going to do a great job.
George. Take care, okay?
Thanks.
So I believe, you know, staying home to help Lim rebuild is considered the true ending. The true canon ending.
All is as it should be.
Yes, I'm sure nothing like that will ever happen again.
Indeed. Huh?
So that's kind of the same.
And that's all. The policies of the new parliament are supported by the majority of the citizens.
I see. Thank you.
But there's one more thing.
Yes?
Among our people, there's an ever-increasing hope that you'll get married soon.
It's not easy being so beloved. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Don't be ridiculous. I've decided no more sacred games. I'll choose my own husband. Your Majesty? Anyway, there is no hurry for that. We already have a fine commander of the Queen's Knights. Am I right?
Nice. I do like that ending.